Minister, despite the prominent role of agriculture in Ireland, it is a fragile system exposed to disruption in international supply chains. We are net importers of many vegetables and we are highly reliant on industrial fertilisers. Can you provide an update on your meetings with farm organisations to improve our national food security this year, and what policy changes are you proposing to ensure our food sovereignty in the longer term?
Margaret.
Thank you, Deputy Cairns, for the question this morning. Last year we ranked in terms of food security internationally first on the Economist Global Food Security Index, which ranks countries across indicators of affordability, availability, quality, safety, natural resources and resilience. The Common Agricultural Policy is the key mechanism for ensuring food security throughout Europe, and specifically in the context of the Ukrainian crisis, significant implications have been seen now across all sectors of the economy, including agri-food. And as well as the immediate humanitarian crisis, obviously, which I know was our key focus, and where our thoughts are very much with the people of Ukraine and has to take priority. We also need, though, to take the necessary steps to ensure that food security is maintained. Following recent engagement and discussion at EU level, Deputy, the European Commission announced on the 23rd of March that there would be a range of actions to enhance global food security and to support farmers and consumers in the EU in light of the rising food prices and input costs. And the communication outlining that sets out action in three areas. Firstly, presenting immediate actions to safeguard food security in Ukraine and around the world. Secondly, then addressing the challenge of stability in the EU's food system with a range of measures to support farmers and maintain affordability. And finally, it confirms the EU agenda to make our food system sustainable and resilient in the years to come as well. And it includes an allocation of €15.8 million, Deputy, in exceptional aid for Ireland, which can be topped up to the tune of 200% by national funding. And I'm examining ways now to mobilise this support, taking account of the detailed requirements and the conditionality that's attached to that exceptional aid provision as well. As you know also, I've set up a rapid response team within my own department immediately to monitor and address this challenge, and also have put in place the National Fodder and Food Security Committee as well, bringing together stakeholders from across the sector to manage and work to address the challenges that are undoubtedly going to be there this year, because it's really important we continue to keep food production at its level, but we have to work together to ensure we overcome those challenges which are not usually there, but certainly are there this year, and I'll work to support farmers in that process over the coming year as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Minister, and I do acknowledge your efforts to address the issue. I suppose I'm just wondering what policy changes we're looking at to address our food sovereignty. Farming organisations have outlined that very few farmers have capacity to grow the grains we need. So I'm wondering what consideration has been given to supporting the existing tillage sector who have the knowledge and capabilities to encourage the planting of more grains. With targeted funding, they could plant more or rent suitable land. Also, have flexibilities in terms of GLOS been examined. The other pressing issue is access to fertilizer, and the last time we spoke on this there was a massive price increase, which is obviously still a major concern, but more pressing now is access. Farming organisations are warning of potential fodder crisis, especially for small farms who can't afford to bulk purchase fertilizer. As you know, it's my belief we need to move away from our high dependency on fertilizer, but that is a process. So what is being done to address the issue now?
Margaret.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Cairns. So in relation to the tillage sector, and obviously it's a sector that I have supported very strongly throughout my tenure as Minister, and the new CAP plan outlines the doubling of protein aid, for example, and also the inclusion of a strong corporation measure which can deliver up to €10,000 to a 100-acre tillage farm annually, for example. But there's a really important role for tillage farmers to play, and they have been very proactive in terms of providing leadership to play their role in this as well, because 60% of our grain is imported. So that's why I've introduced the scheme, delivering €400 a hectare for each additional hectare of grain that will be grown this year. And there's been a very strong response to that, particularly from tillage farmers who are seeking to grow more than they did last year. The economics around continuing to plant what would have been planted last year, all the assessments are that the economics this year, despite the increased costs, the increased prices that are there and forward prices, are that the economics are strong in relation to growing grain. But obviously it's challenging to grow that area, and that's why I put in the scheme, that particular scheme as well. But you're right in relation to fodder. The most important priority this year is going to be growing grass and planning for the next winter, next spring. And really importantly, as farmers now are planning to do their breeding, that they're also planning to do their feeding, because We have to look at what the supply challenges might be at the end of next year and take the steps now to prepare for that.
Hachta.
Cattle are already calving now, I suppose, but thanks, Minister. You're obviously aware of the pressing need for farmers to be supported, but I think this situation raises larger points about our food sovereignty, and the pandemic should have been a wake-up call to pivot towards a more secure position. In 2020, our vulnerabilities to food supply chains were clearly exposed. Now the Russian invasion of Ukraine has highlighted this weakness again, and I'm very concerned there was no real lessons learned in both the Department and the Government on this issue. We need to move towards a more secure and sustainable food system built on diversified range of crops and shorter supply chains. This system is better for producers, especially for smaller farmers, better for consumers, and it is better for the environment. Are you looking at policy changes that will help protect us from the next crisis? And we know there will be more, for example, climate change.
I think we're very aware of the need to have a really sustainable food system and a secure one. And I mean, Food Vision 2030 very much sets out a food systems approach to how we deliver that. And all of the stakeholders have come together to drive that on as well. And it's really important that we're sustainable in what we do. That's why we're seeking to reduce chemical nitrogen, for example, increase clover sward, reduce emissions across the board, but really importantly, while keeping food security absolutely central to what we do and keeping food production up, because that's really important too. And we shouldn't take the eye off the ball on that either. As you know, I've strongly supported the tillage sector. Thankfully, we've seen the level stabilise in recent years. I want to see that grow over the next period of time because it's important that we do grow more grain domestically. But it's really important that we do supply the food and produce the food, not just that we produce and consume ourselves, but really importantly for what we do internationally. But doing so sustainably, because while the current food security challenges as a result of the war on European soil, the food security challenges in a generation's time and will be around climate change. And so across the board, we all have to work together to prepare for that, and the way we prepare for that is by seeking to reduce emissions. Because that will be the food security challenge of the future if we don't do that.
How do you propose to reduce emissions? You haven't done anything to do that.